Hey, Cross Park, happy Advent to you. It's good to be back in the saddle after my week away. So thank you all for your kind thoughts and prayers and texts and so forth for my birthday. I had a good time celebrating my birthday and Thanksgiving. But we're back. It's Advent season, and we have a number of things coming up I want to remind you of. First, this Sunday, the second Sunday in Advent, we'll be together celebrating Advent. We will preach the first half of Romans 7. And we will have the pleasure and delight of installing two new officers, Craig Paddock as an elder, Tim Jackson as a deacon. That will be at the end of our service. So please join us this Sunday, 10:30 for our worship service. On December 12th, there is a women's potluck event. Women, you should be getting those details in your email. Check that out and sign up. On December 15th, it's the third Sunday of Advent. We will finish Romans 7 together in the morning. And then at 4 p.m., we have one of our favorite events of the year, some people's favorite event of the year, cookies and carols. So it's just what it sounds like. We get together, we sing a lot, we read a few passages from the Bible, there's a short homily from me, and then we eat a bunch of cookies together. So please do join us, bring family and friends. There is a sign-up genius, so to make sure people are bringing plenty of cookies. That is December 15th, 4 p.m., cookies and carols. December 22nd is the fourth Sunday of Advent, and that is typically the Sunday prior to the 25th is when we have our family Christmas celebration. It's a relatively usual service with a few exceptions. We don't have children's worship that day, so we will be all together, whole family, all together in a service. We'll sing, we'll have communion, we will have a sermon, but it will be shorter than usual. This time it's going to be one verse. I don't know how long the sermon will be exactly, but the verse is short. It's Romans 8:1. It's one of the best verses in the Bible. So we will celebrate together how the coming of Jesus guarantees that we have no condemnation now in him. So come join us again, 10:30 on the 22nd. Now, we did give you a brief update a few weeks ago at our congregational meeting about our location conundrum. We asked you to pray. We thank you for praying. We've had some productive conversations. In the next 2 weeks, we're having another elders meeting and another leadership meeting to focus on next steps with our location. There's not some easy answer that we're trying to get to. If there was an easy answer, we would have gotten to it a long time ago. But we are trying to lay out for you the issues and define clearly what our next steps are and what we think, what path we think we should take. So pray for us. Please continue to pray for us. We do think that as God has called us to be at Hemby for now, and maybe long-term, maybe not, we have to be in this all together. And one of the ways to do that is to pray, to spiritually be on the same page. Another way to do that is for us to communicate. So we've been telling you here recently that we're having these conversations, but we're going to have a congregational conversation, Lord willing, January 12th. So our hope is that we will be able to lay out issues for you and have some recommendations. And then you'll be able to just engage with those, ask questions, go back and forth. So put on your calendar January 12th. Of course, as we get closer, we'll tell you more about those details. And hopefully it will be a really helpful time to ask some questions, to hear kind of all the ins and outs of what our process has been, and to pray together about what we do next. Final thought. Romans 7 is a quirky, tricky passage. Many commentators would say it's one of the most difficult passages in the New Testament to understand because it's so significant. It's right in the middle of Paul's big argument in Romans. And yet there are some hard things that it's hard to figure out exactly who he's talking about and what he might mean, especially the end of Romans 7 next week. However, I think there's something really good about this. Romans 7 is a perfect text for Advent. Romans 7 is messy. Romans 7 is full of confusion, uncertainty. There's a lot of waiting to try to figure out what's going to happen, how's this going to work. It feels like Advent. Again, we have so conflated Advent and Christmas. We think this whole season's only supposed to be holly jolly and fun, when in reality, both the historical experience of waiting for Jesus to come and now our experience of waiting for Jesus to come back, it's a wilderness experience oftentimes. It entails a high amount of waiting. We're waiting. We're waiting for what God has promised to do, so we know he will do it, and yet he hasn't brought everything to fullness and completion yet. And so we oftentimes are stuck in confusion. We oftentimes are stuck in uncertainty. We oftentimes are stuck in circumstances that we don't understand and that we wouldn't have chosen and that we can't get out of. And it's in those moments, which is sort of a Romans 7 type moment. You want to do the right thing, you can't do it. You can't figure out what's going on. That's an Advent kind of feeling. So I'll probably say this again in the next couple sermons, but this is a good place for us to be. It's a good place for us to be even as we think about our location situation. We've worked hard. We don't want to be stuck in the unknown of what's next, and yet we haven't quite been able to figure out and find the right thing to move forward. So we're in a season of waiting in the wilderness. And I know cold Sunday mornings feel like you're waiting truly, literally in a wilderness. But hang in there, because Advent is good for our hearts. It teaches us to wait on the Lord and to wait on what he might do. So that's what we're doing as a church. That's what many of us are doing in our own Christian lives all the time. Some of you may be particular in a season that feels especially wildernessy. And the Lord will show up. The Lord will provide. In time, he will arise and do his work. So we trust him. We look forward to what he will do. Come join us Sunday morning, this Sunday, the second Sunday of Advent, as we enter into more of the mess and confusion, knowing that we have Jesus to wait on. Thanks, Cross Park. See you Sunday morning.